My wife called her infidelity self-growth, so I gave her the most unforgettable public divorce of her life. It was a Friday evening. I had just gotten home from work, ready to crack open a beer and kick off the weekend with my wife. The beer was waiting, but something felt off. She was already home, sitting silently at the kitchen table. I could tell right away she'd seen or done something that was bothering her. "Honey, we need to talk," she said. "Before diving into what happened, let me give you some context. My name is Trent Grayson, no relation to the former Supreme Court Justice. I'm 28, work in IT consulting, and hold a master's degree in computer science. I'm 5 feet 11 inches, about 205 pounds, with brown hair and eyes. I keep myself in shape with daily gym sessions and 5-mile morning runs. People say I look good, and I take care of myself. My wife's name is Lorna, though she prefers to go by Lena. She's 2 years younger than me, with a curvy, athletic build. She hits the gym often, has blonde hair, blue eyes, and toned legs. Small waist, great figure, just adorable overall. We met at a college party. Back then, she was Lorna Masters, working on her bachelor's in accounting. I was already into my grad studies. We clicked immediately and dated through college, tying the knot a year after graduation. Lena had a habit of making impulsive decisions, especially when excited about something. One early conflict was her refusal to take my last name. Instead, she insisted on a double-barreled hybrid Scott Putor Ron Clinton style, mixing both our surnames. I tried to talk to her about it calmly, but every time I did, she got defensive, accusing me of being sexist or trying to erase her identity. She'd point out other women she knew who did the same without issue, insisting I was the one stuck in outdated thinking. I wasn't trying to control her. I just foresaw practical problems down the road. Eventually, I lost patience and told her to write the name Lena Carter Grayson 5 times on a piece of paper, then read it aloud. After doing that, she changed her mind and agreed to take my name. Anyway, fast forward 5 years into our marriage. We hadn't started a family yet, but were planning to. Our 5th anniversary was just over 2 months away, and we had agreed to begin trying for a baby then. Since she had trouble with birth control pills, we always used condoms until our anniversary, when we planned to stop. I was really looking forward to it. That's when everything started to unravel. I was sipping a beer when my wife hit me with 5 words that immediately irritated me. "I just want to travel first." Before I could respond, she elaborated. "It's important for me to do this before we settle down and start a family," Lena said, trying to sound reasonable. "So let me get this straight," I asked, already feeling my temper rise. "You want to see other men, date them, sleep with them while still being my wife? And you think I'm supposed to be okay with that? Are you serious?" "It's just for a month," she replied calmly. "I just need a little more time for myself. After that, we'll celebrate our 5-year anniversary like we planned. Once I've had this final bit of independence, I'll be ready to fully commit and be your loyal wife forever." "Absolutely not," I said bluntly. "Okay, Trent, that's your choice," she said, unfazed. "But I'm doing this anyway. I don't need your permission, but I am being honest with you." "Seriously?" I asked. "You think sleeping with other men isn't cheating?" "It's not cheating if it's openly discussed and consensual. Cheating is lying and sneaking around, not what I'm doing. That's why I'm telling you now," she said, like she was being generous. "And it's not like it'll be all the time, maybe just Friday or Saturday nights. I'll still be home most of the week. I'll get enough sleep before work, so I won't be cranky or tired. Oh, I'm definitely not going to be available to pick you up after your little dates." "Why would you even think that?" I asked. I had a pretty good idea where this nonsense was coming from, but I asked anyway. "Have you been talking to Naomi about this?" I said. "Yeah," she admitted. "We've been chatting about when to start trying for a baby." "Let me guess. Naomi, your coworker who's been divorced 4 times and cheated in every single marriage? You're taking life advice from her?" "She believes it's important to find closure and clarity before having kids, so I can be the best mom I can be," Lena replied. "She also said that being with other people could expand my sexual perspective and maybe even make our sex life better." She looked determined to move forward, no matter how I felt about it. I tried a few more objections, but she had a counter-argument ready for each one. "All right," I said. "Clearly, you're going to do this no matter what I say. So, when's your first date?" "I haven't lined anything up yet," she replied. "But Naomi and I are planning to hit the clubs tomorrow night." "Got it. Then just know this: I don't care what you think you're entitled to, but if you try to bring anyone back to this house, there will be serious consequences," I warned. "I'd never do that," she said, almost indignant. "We'll probably go to his place, a motel, or maybe Naomi's." "Well, I don't approve. I think it's completely wrong," I said. "But clearly, that doesn't matter to you. Just so you know, I won't be around to take care of any of the animals during your absence. And who knows, when you get back, you might just find that you no longer have a husband or a job." I said. "What do you mean if you decide to come back?" I asked. "I told you I'm not leaving for good," she replied. Just 1 or 2 nights a week. We'll still spend the rest of our time together. No way. I'm not allowing that, I said firmly. If you go through with this, you'll need to find somewhere else to live. You can't stay here while sleeping with other men. I don't care what you think. Don't be ridiculous, she snapped. This is also my house. You can't just kick me out. Actually, I can, I reminded her. My parents own this house and transferred the deed to me before we got married. It's in my name. Maybe you should consider moving in with Naomi. The tension in the house hung thick and cold through the night and into the morning. She asked me to sleep in another room, but I told her I paid for the bed and would be sleeping in it. If she had a problem with that, she could find another spot to sleep. We didn't speak the next day either. Then around 8 p.m., Lena came downstairs dressed to the nines, short black dress, stockings clipped into a garter belt. I could tell, even if it was hidden, 4-inch heels, hairstyled, flawless makeup, night-out jewelry, and a little clutch purse. Did you forget anything? I asked. No, I think I've got it all: phone, wallet, ID, she said. What about bags, clothes, makeup, hygiene stuff? I'm just going out for the night, she answered sharply. Why? Planning to lock me out? Yes, I said without hesitation. Once you leave, I'm changing the locks. I already told you if you're going to keep living like this, you won't be staying here. Don't be dramatic. I know you love me enough to let this go, she said. This is your decision. If you leave tonight, you don't come back, I replied flatly. She was about to say something else when a car horn sounded from the driveway. That's Naomi. I have to go. We can talk later when I get back, she said. What she didn't know was that while she was in the bathroom getting ready, I had taken her phone and installed a couple of tracking apps. They gave me access to her GPS location, let me read her texts, record calls, and even control the microphone and camera remotely. I waited until she left before switching on the mic. Soon after, I began hearing her conversation with Naomi in the car, something I could listen to in full later. But first, I had work to do. I installed the new lock I'd bought earlier, moved her car out of the garage, reset the garage door code, and took her remote. Then I packed her clothes, personal items, and cosmetics into boxes I had ready. About 2 hours later, her car was packed. I caught part of her conversation as she reflected on our earlier exchange. He's pissed, Lena said. I warned you, Naomi replied. He'll be mad for a week or two, maybe longer, but he'll get over it. Just keep doing your thing and make sure you stay in his good graces in the coming days. When you do a good job, he'll notice and start appreciating you, Naomi said. Men are like dogs. Most things can be forgiven if they get a reward for their trouble. A little positive reinforcement goes a long way. Lena laughed. Yeah, I just hope the guy I'm with tonight doesn't wear me out too much for tomorrow. Make sure you take a long, hot bath tomorrow to ease the pain, Naomi suggested. And leave your panties in the car. You won't be needing them tonight. Lena teased. I need to be wearing them to take them off, you little rascal. It takes one to know one, Naomi replied, both of them chuckling at the exchange. Now, let me tell you a bit about Naomi. She was 5 feet 4 inches, with stunning red hair that reached her lower back, emerald eyes, and a face that seemed almost angelic. She had a fit, toned body that clearly showed her commitment to working out. In her mid-20s, she had been married 4 times, and each marriage ended in cheating. Who gets divorced 4 times before turning 30? She'd come after me a few times, if you're wondering, and had no shame about it. She also had a bad habit of giving Lena terrible advice, often suggesting they go off on trips together. So far, I'd managed to avoid that bullet. I watched them for a while as they made their way to the club. The noise inside was so loud I couldn't hear much of what they were saying. Afterward, I focused on Lena's GPS, keeping tabs on her while I handled some banking. I withdrew half of our joint funds, paid off our credit cards, and transferred all our savings to an offshore account I had set up months ago. I even managed to move about 70% of our investment assets into an account solely in my name. When I saw Lena's phone's GPS signal moving again, I turned on the microphone. I could hear her talking to someone, then a man responded. My phone's ringing. Hold on, Lena said, followed by some rustling. Hello? Hey girl, did you go out with that cute guy you were dancing with? Naomi asked. Yeah, we're heading to your house to spend some time alone. Hope you don't mind if I borrow your guest room for a couple of hours, Lena replied. Sure, no problem. I should be there soon with a friend. I'll need to shower afterward before heading home, so I left some shampoo and body wash for you in the guest bathroom. Thanks, babe. I'll see you soon. I wanted to hurry things along, so I activated her phone's camera to see who she was with. I only got a quick glimpse before she tucked the phone into her pocket. The guy didn't seem like much, probably in his late 30s, with thinning black hair and a height that made him look a lot smaller than me. I turned everything off while they were on their way to Naomi's house. When I saw them approaching, I switched the microphone and camera back on, listening intently until I heard them step away from the phone. It was all ridiculous. I needed Lena to be near her phone so I could record audio evidence of her infidelity. Video footage seemed like an unreasonable request at that point. "Hello, unknown man. How can I help you?" I heard her say. I recognized that ringtone. "Wait, never mind, sorry. I can't talk right now. I'll just tell him to try again later." She answered the phone, her tone light and casual. "Hello, sweetheart. What's up? Where are you?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "I'm at Naomi's. We're just hanging out for a bit. She'll take me home in a few hours." "We're watching a movie," Lena lied, her voice carefree. "I'll be home soon. Don't worry, I'm fine." "All right," I replied, not offering any affection or even a simple goodbye. By some miracle, Lena wandered into the bedroom, her phone likely still on, and placed it on the nightstand next to a lamp, aiming it toward the bed. I wasn't sure if the video would hold up in court, but at that moment, that wasn't my primary concern. I minimized the screen and set it to record. If she was going to socialize, I didn't see why I had to sit around and wait for her to come back. After all, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. She was being ridiculous, and it was time for me to make a move. I was going to meet people myself, and I'd make sure she knew it. The rest of my weekend was spent working on domestic chores and restoring my classic truck. A few years back, I'd struck a great deal on a 1972 GMC pickup, which had since become my project. I restored the 350 high-performance engine, upgraded the 3-speed manual transmission to a Borg-Warner Super T10 4-speed, and installed a 12V PY traction rear differential. I also fitted leather bucket seats and gave it a matte black paint job. The final touch was connecting the engine to the fuel system, radiator, and vacuum using steel-braided lines. The work on my truck served as a great distraction, and the best part was I didn't have to worry about Lena during the evenings. I managed to get the truck up and running, and I took it to a lawyer to start divorce proceedings. It seemed like we'd be splitting everything 50-50, but I knew the Canadian legal system wasn't exactly fair to men when it came to asset division. Adultery, it seemed, was a guaranteed way to claim a paycheck, with loyal husbands left to foot the bill for their unfaithful wives. There was only so much defense you could put up. Friday evening arrived, and I cleaned up, prepped my truck, and got ready for the night. I took a shower, shaved, and sprayed on some cologne before slipping into a fresh pair of pants, a black dress shirt, and my rattlesnake skin cowboy boots. I treated myself to a meal at an exclusive steakhouse. I won't bore you with the details, but the T-bone steak, loaded baked potato, vegetables, and house salad were all outstanding. After dinner, I stepped outside and checked Lena's phone. They had arrived at the club about 30 minutes earlier. It was time to put my plan into motion. I knew this would annoy Lena a bit, but I was ready. I smiled to myself and pulled into a parking spot a few cars away from hers. Lena was clearly driving tonight, which made things easier for me because I didn't have to worry about Naomi being left behind or anything. Judging by how they parked, Lena was definitely the one behind the wheel, and that was exactly what I wanted. I didn't want any complications or unnecessary conversations with Lena, so I planned to steer her towards Naomi, making sure she wouldn't need her car the next day. Everything was in place. I walked into the bar, and it didn't take long to spot them. "Naomi, I didn't know you were coming out tonight," I said, walking up to their table with a drink in hand. I waited until Lena had left to dance with a young man, likely from a fraternity. "Trent, what brings you here?" Naomi asked, looking more concerned than curious. "I'm just here to check out Club Z and have some fun tonight," I replied, keeping my tone light. "Let's dance." "I should probably mention that Lena is with me," Naomi said. "What's stopping you from dancing with me right now?" "If she's not in the chair, she must be in the restroom or out dancing," I said with a grin. "Yay, I'd love to dance with you." Naomi beamed, and we hit the dance floor. We danced through 3 songs, and when the tempo slowed for a slow song, I saw my opportunity. As the music played, I pulled Naomi close. That's when Lena noticed us. Her face shifted from shock to fear, realizing I had seen everything. She excused herself from the dance floor and returned to their table, glaring at me with irritation. "Sweetie, you have no idea," I thought to myself. Naomi and I had danced close, and I couldn't deny that she was fun to be around. She was a real catch. Lena quickly realized what was happening. Her eyes locked on me. She smiled, then moved closer to me, showing off her figure through her sheer dress, wearing very little underneath. After the song ended, I walked Naomi back to her table, and she invited me to sit with them. I gladly accepted. On the way, I waved over to the server for a refill and told her to add all 3 beers to my tab. "Trent, what are you doing here?" Lena asked, glaring at me. "What do you mean?" "I'm doing the same thing you are drinking, dancing, having a good time. Is that not allowed?" I replied, keeping my cool. "Who are you kidding? You're just here to ruin my night," Lena snapped. "Not really, Lena. I didn't know you'd be here. We haven't spoken since you moved out. How could I know?" I said, shrugging. I heard about this place from some coworkers and thought I'd come by for a fun night. It's fine for you, but not for me, I guess. I turned my attention back to Naomi, resuming our conversation. Lena sat there, fuming. She wasn't looking any more appealing than before, but I pretended not to notice. It was clear she was trying to make me jealous. I could tell by the way Lena was hitting the dance floor and dancing with various guys that she was enjoying herself. I couldn't help but laugh to myself as I watched her, talking to Naomi at the same time. When I noticed a guy approaching Lena to ask her to dance, I made sure to ask her first. After a few dances, it became clear to everyone that we were together. A few hours later, I saw an opportunity. Lena was dancing, and Naomi was in a great mood, smiling and waving as I approached her. As I got closer, it became obvious that she wasn't wearing much. She stretched out and ran her hand across the front of my jeans. "Is your place closer?" I whispered, leaning into her ear. "Lena should be here soon," she replied. "Does that matter?" I asked, kissing the back of her neck. "I assume she'll have her own room," I continued. "I hope not," she responded, still feeling the heat of the moment. She had the keys and was driving. She could find her way back. I kept the mood going as we headed back to her apartment, tenderly stroking her calf. As soon as we walked in the door, she took off her dress, grabbed my hand, and led me to her bedroom. The intimacy was great. She was definitely good at it. I'd taken all the right precautions, as I usually do. In the middle of it, I heard the front door open and close. Naomi wasn't paying attention, thank goodness. For the record, Naomi is a screamer, and Lena's room is next to Naomi's, so I was prepared. It ended up being a night to remember for several reasons. Lena seemed unsure about some things, but we both got into it, and eventually, we passed out from exhaustion. The next morning, I woke up to a surprise downstairs, enjoying a quiet moment. Despite our open conversations about Naomi's colorful past, I wasn't going to mention any favors being returned. You might wonder about my ethics, but I believe in mutual enjoyment and love, with safety and health being top priorities, which is why I always use protective measures. Breakfast was awkward, to say the least. Lena had probably been trying to sleep in, but she was in the kitchen when I came down. "Coffee?" she asked. "That's okay. I'll get it," I replied, noticing the faint smile on her face. I grabbed a clean mug and stood by the Keurig as it brewed, wondering what she would have put in my coffee if I'd let her make it. She didn't say much after that and went to talk to Naomi. I did too. Lena had figured out we were missing and knew what had happened. She wasn't happy when she saw my truck parked at the apartment complex, probably because she'd given her date some nasty looks during breakfast, and he left quickly. I didn't stick around for long. When I set my mind to something, I'm determined, and I don't give up easily. I knew Lena worked with a lot of attractive, single women. I had met a few of them at work events and personal gatherings, and I had their contact information. I began reaching out to a few of Lena's acquaintances and coworkers, asking them out, and most of them agreed to go on a date with me. A few hesitated because I was still legally married, but Lena had already shared so much about our situation at work that I was able to convince them. I noticed an increase in tension between Lena and Naomi at work, as well as between Lena and some other single women who worked there. That's right, I started hanging out with Lena's friends and coworkers, inviting them over for dinner or taking them to fancy restaurants, the opera, or other outings. I made sure I was in the same places as her friends when they were together. I was making full use of the GPS tracker and audio footage on her phone. I also found out that some of the coworkers I thought I was seeing were planning trips and having fun with the real Lena. Meanwhile, Lena continued going out and returning with her friends, arguing with Naomi. I was enjoying myself, going out to dine at fine restaurants, dancing, and spending time with different people. I also appreciated hearing Lena's own thoughts on the situation. Everyone was out, and Lena was talking about how things weren't supposed to happen this way. Naomi asked, "What do you mean?" Lena responded, "He was supposed to wait for me until I finished my final year. We were supposed to start our lives together, not cheat on me." Naomi replied, "Yeah, I didn't expect this either." Lena then said, "To be honest, I've had a good time, but no one compares to Trent when it comes to making me feel good. Our anniversary is coming up, and we've decided to start trying for a baby." Naomi responded, "Yeah, he has a way with women, Lena." Lena then shot back, "And you? What were you doing, bringing him over and lying to me and my husband all night, only to backstab me the next morning?" Naomi answered, "Hey, relax. You know I've had feelings for him for years. What did you expect when he made a move on me? He really turned on the charm, and I couldn't resist." Lena admitted, "But he's married. You could have respected your best friend." Naomi replied, Okay, sorry. Look, he hasn't called me back, and I don't think we'll get back together. Don't be mad at me for telling you this, but he's been hitting on half our friends and coworkers." Lena said, "I can't believe those backstabbers are doing this to me. I can't wait to see what's coming to them." Naomi asked, Are you heading back to him now, Lena? Lena answered, yeah, I'll call him later and let him know I'm ready to come back and start trying for a family. I couldn't help but smile as I watched their interaction. Lena had no idea what was coming next. It was time to call my lawyer and give her my final instructions. Our anniversary was just over a week away, and I needed to make sure everything was set for the big day. Later that day, Lena called, wanting to come home, but I declined. I explained that if I let her come back, I'd be going back and forth with her constantly. I told her about some of the major upgrades I had made to the house, wanting to surprise her. When Lena arrived home, everything was completed. I had planned to have the house looking perfect by the time she returned. She had prepared a gift for our anniversary, and I may have dropped a few hints, leading her to believe incorrectly that one of the rooms was being turned into a nursery. I didn't say it outright, but I didn't mind letting her think that. I convinced her to wait until our anniversary for her surprise and promised it would be a good one. Everything was ready to go. It was 6 p.m. on a Saturday, and my 2-month plan to surprise Lena with a massive pool party, complete with a brand new pool in the backyard, was in full swing. She couldn't believe her eyes when she stepped into the backyard. There were many of our friends and family present. Just then, the doorbell rang. I had instructed Lena to arrive at 6 o'clock, and while it might have been predictable, anyone passing by the house would have noticed something was up. Still, she was caught off guard when she walked through the front door. All right, everyone, the guest of honor has arrived. I called out. Trent, what's going on? She asked. I kind of thought we were going out to dinner today, she added. No, I replied. Today is a special day, and I wanted our family and friends to be here to see it. She seemed surprised. All right, hun. It's just that I didn't expect anything like this. Just leave your suitcases here for now, I said. We'll get to them later. You arrived just in time for dinner. Come on in, you can go to the front of the line since you're the guest of honor. Lena settled in quickly, and we tried not to discuss the past 2 months. Dinner was a hit, filled with delicious food and plenty of laughter. Once we finished eating and cleaned up, I turned on the backyard lights, revealing the new pool and other improvements I'd made to the house. I hadn't yet shown her the upstairs. She had been hinting that she wanted to see the renovations I'd completed. Still, I believed I had transformed one of the spare rooms into a nursery. Everyone, could I have your attention for a moment? I called out, raising my voice to get their attention. The music faded, and the chatter died down. All right, thank you all for being here. I have a few announcements to make on this special occasion. I turned to Lena, first and foremost. Lena, please come over here next to me. She moved closer, her eyes curious. Yesterday was my last day of work, I began. The only person who knows is my former supervisor, whom I gave my notice to a month ago. I'm starting my own consulting firm so I can spend more time with my family. Lena's face lit up with a wide smile when I said family. As you probably know, Lena and I are celebrating our 5th anniversary today, I continued. What you might not know is that Lena and I have been discussing starting a family for some time now, and we've decided that today is the day we'll begin trying. So, for our anniversary, I want to give Lena a special gift. I stepped aside and motioned for her to come forward. Lorna Grayson, you have been served, the woman said. It seemed like many of you weren't aware, I explained. 2 months ago, Lena told me that she wanted to date other men. She didn't ask if it was okay or give any feedback. She just stated her intentions and left it at that. I believe she moved in with her friend around the same time. Lena screamed, yes, I am divorcing you so you can be with whoever you want, but it won't be me. I went on to mention the upgrades I'd made to the house, pointing out the new pool in the backyard and the changes made to the basement. The master bedroom was repainted, and a new shower and jacuzzi were installed in the master bathroom. I had also knocked down the wall between 2 smaller bedrooms to create one large bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. As I spoke, a woman with red hair and a young girl, who I assumed was about 10, approached me. I'd like you to meet my lawyer, Carla Donovan, and her daughter, Emma. Carla is also a single mother, and I've been seeing her for the past 2 months. We aren't officially dating yet, but we both think there's something special between us. Emma and I get along well, and we plan to be together once the divorce is finalized. Carla's lease ends around that time, and she and Emma will be moving in with me. I turned back to Lena. So, Lena, you can take your things out to your car. You're not going back inside. I told you that you wouldn't be able to do whatever you wanted while ignoring our marital problems. Lena was crying, and her family began shouting. A few of her relatives left the house, shocked by what was happening. Carla and Emma quietly went upstairs, out of sight, as they had agreed with me beforehand. To be honest, Carla and I hadn't been intimate. We'd gone out to dinner a few times, and I'd spent a few nights at their apartment, but we both agreed not to take things further until my divorce was finalized. Carla had ended her marriage 5 years ago after her husband cheated on her, and although she'd gone on a few dates since, she hadn't felt any strong connection with anyone until now. Eventually, everyone left. I didn't know where Lena had gone. I had turned off the tracking program earlier that day, and I no longer had an interest in monitoring her. Should I have handled things differently? Yes. Should I have involved Carla and Emma in this? Probably not. But I was angry. Lena's actions had hurt me, and I wanted to show her the consequences of her betrayal. I wanted her to understand that my love for her hadn't faded on its own. She had pushed me to this point. I wanted her to feel the same misery she had caused me. I could have confronted her at work, or mailed copies of everything to everyone we knew, but I chose not to. There were many more mature, less harmful ways I could have handled it, but I didn't. I suspected the new neighbors were shady, and I felt uneasy about Robert's sudden friendship with them. I wasn't sure what he saw in the pair next door. Ida, on the other hand, wasn't unfriendly. She considered herself outgoing and had developed good relationships with the girls in the deli at the grocery store and the children's librarian at the St. Rhea Public Library. But there was something about the neighbors that immediately rubbed her the wrong way. Maybe it was because they never went out during the day and seemed to appear out of nowhere. When she asked where they had gone, she voiced her concerns to Adela, who laughed it off and called her crazy. So, Ida kept quiet, assuming she was overthinking things. Meanwhile, Robert had paid a visit to his neighbor. Lena did move back in with Naomi, but only for about 2 weeks before they had a major falling out. Lena then found a small apartment and has been living there ever since. I still see her around town now and then. She often scowls at me or looks unhappy depending on her mood, and we don't exchange small talk. A mutual friend of ours told me she left the company and found a new job because it was too awkward seeing so many of her ex-boyfriends daily. Occasionally, I run into her family when Carla, Emma, and I go out to eat. I don't speak to them, and they give me dirty looks, but I try to remain a better person. Lena attempted to fight Carla and Emma's divorce, but eventually gave up. She wanted everything to be over quickly. Carla even helped by putting pressure on Lena, reaching out to her coworkers. Lena agreed to sign the divorce papers after seeing the positive results from some of my interactions with her colleagues. On the same day the divorce papers arrived, Carla and Emma moved in. 1 year later, Carla and I got married. On our wedding night, she showed me a tremendous act of trust, reaffirming her dedication to our relationship and encouraging me to remember her faith in us whenever I felt like giving up. Less than a year later, Lena approached Carla, Emma, and me at a street fair after noticing Carla's pregnant belly. She turned and fled. To sum it up, here's a word of caution for anyone considering cheating. You can't have it both ways. You might think you can tell your partner you want to sleep with someone else to get it out of your system before settling down, but be prepared for them to do the same and find someone more compatible. 1 year after the dramatic pool party where I served Lena with divorce papers, life had settled into a new rhythm. The house, once filled with emotional turmoil, now buzzed with warmth and laughter. Carla and Emma had fully integrated into my world, transforming the space into a home full of hope and second chances. The pool in the backyard, once a symbol of my audacious revenge, had become a place for Emma's weekend swim sessions and Carla's quiet evening dips. Beneath the surface of his newfound domestic happiness, Trent carried a lingering unease, a blend of guilt over his past actions and a nagging fear that the wounds from Lena's betrayal might never fully heal. His consulting firm had taken off far faster than he'd anticipated. Quitting his job had been a gamble, but his reputation and relentless work ethic paid off. He now worked from a sleek home office, a converted spare room upstairs where he could hear Emma practicing her violin or Carla humming while cooking dinner. The business gave him flexibility, a luxury he cherished. He could drop Emma off at school or join Carla for a midday coffee when the workload was light. This freedom was a sharp contrast to his old life with Lena, where every moment felt like a negotiation. Carla, with her sharp legal mind and quiet strength, had become a grounding force for Trent. She understood his guarded heart, having experienced her own betrayal in her previous marriage. They had agreed to take things slowly, letting their relationship develop naturally after the divorce was finalized. Their wedding, a small event with close friends and family, was a celebration of trust, something Trent hadn't realized he had lost until Carla helped him rebuild it. Emma, now 11, was a bright spark in their lives. She took to Trent immediately, calling him T and roping him into science fair projects and late-night board game marathons. But the past wasn't entirely behind them. Lena's presence still lingered like a faint shadow. Trent occasionally spotted her in town at the grocery store, the coffee shop, or driving past in her compact sedan. Her expression was always a mix of defiance and sadness. Mutual friends shared glimpses of her life. She had left her accounting job after the awkwardness with coworkers became unbearable and was now working at a small firm across town. She lived alone in a modest apartment, and rumors swirled that she had sworn off dating to focus on finding herself. Trent didn't know how to feel about it. Part of him wanted to gloat, but another, quieter part felt a pang of sorrow for the woman he had once loved. One crisp autumn afternoon, Trent was at the park with Emma, watching her race around the playground while he sipped coffee on a bench. Carla was at a legal conference, leaving the two of them to enjoy their usual weekend adventures. As Emma swung from the monkey bars, a familiar figure approached. It was Lena, bundled in a scarf and coat, her blonde hair tucked under a beanie. She hesitated, clearly debating whether to turn back, but Trent caught her eye and gave a small nod. Lena walked over, her steps cautious. "Trent," she said, her voice softer than he remembered. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Emma loves this place," he replied, keeping his tone neutral. "What about you? Just passing through?" She shrugged, glancing at Emma. "I walk here sometimes. Clears my head." There was a pause, heavy with unspoken history. "She's a sweet kid," Lena said, looking at Emma. "You're good with her." Trent nodded, unsure where this conversation was going. "She's easy to love." Lena looked down, fidgeting with her scarf. "I owe you an apology. Not just for everything, but for how I handled it. I was selfish," Lena admitted, her voice wavering. "I thought I could have it all freedom. You a family. I was wrong." Trent's jaw tightened. He had imagined this moment 1,000 times, rehearsing cutting replies in his mind. But now that it was here, he felt oddly empty. "Why now, Lena?" "It's been over a year," he said, his voice steady but distant. "I've been talking to a therapist," she confessed, her eyes searching for understanding. "Trying to figure out why I blew up our life. I think I was scared of settling down, of losing myself in motherhood." Naomi's ideas seemed like a way to hold on to some control, but they were poison. "I hurt you, and I'm sorry." Trent studied her, searching for the woman who had once laughed with him over late-night pizza or planned their future with starry-eyed enthusiasm. She was still there, but she was dimmed, like a light bulb flickering out. "I appreciate that," he said finally, "but apologies don't erase the past. I've moved on. I had to." She blinked back tears, her eyes glistening. "I know." Lena took a shaky breath. "I saw Carla at the street fair. She's pregnant, isn't she?" Trent nodded. "Due in 4 months. A boy," Lena said, forcing a smile. "That's wonderful." "Really?" Trent didn't answer right away, letting her words sink in. "I won't keep you," Lena said, her voice faltering. "I just needed to say it. Take care, Trent." She turned and walked away, her figure shrinking into the autumn haze. Trent watched until she was gone, his coffee cold in his hand. Emma ran over, breathless. "Who was that, T?" "Just someone I used to know," Trent replied, ruffling her hair. "Ready for ice cream?" That evening, Trent told Carla about the encounter. They sat on the couch, her head resting on his shoulder, the house quiet except for the hum of the dishwasher. "How do you feel about it?" Carla asked softly. "Conflicted," he admitted. "I wanted to hate her forever, but seeing her today, she's broken, Carla. I don't think she meant to destroy us. She just didn't know how to stop herself." Carla squeezed his hand. "You're allowed to feel sorry for her. It doesn't mean you forgive her or want her back. It just means you're human." Trent kissed her forehead, grateful for her clarity. "I don't regret the divorce, but I regret how I handled it, the spectacle, dragging you and Emma into it. I was so angry. I wanted to hurt her as much as she hurt me. We've talked about this," Carla said gently. "Emma and I were okay with it. We knew you were hurting, and honestly, that night pushed Lena to face reality. She might not have signed those papers so fast without it." Trent chuckled dryly. "You're too practical for your own good. It's why you love me," she teased, then grew serious. "You're not that guy anymore, Trent. You've grown. We're building something real here. Focus on that." She was right. The next few months were a blur of preparation. Trent and Carla decorated a nursery, painting it in soft blues with a mural of stars that Emma helped design. When their son, Liam, was born, Trent felt a joy so profound it eclipsed the pain of his past. Holding his son, he realized that Lena's betrayal had been a detour, not a destination. It had led him here, to a family he hadn't dared dream of. Lena faded further into the background. Trent heard she had moved to a nearby city, chasing a fresh start. He wished her well silently and let her go. His life was full, messy, imperfect, but full. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.